Hey friends, my name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show, and this is the Vista Spark integrated amplifier. Here's the back panel. So as you can see, this is a very simple device. 2 inputs, an IEC connector, chunky binding posts, an on-off switch, a volume control. That's all she wrote. And by the way, no remote. So it's dead simple. It is a Class AB amplifier, not Class D. I like that. 20 watts per channel for 4 ohm or 8 ohm speakers. It is built and lovingly built in Serbia with mostly EU parts. Really nicely done. The price is $389 in the United States of America, and it is 295 euros pretty much everywhere else. It's small. It's only 5 inches wide, 11 inches deep, weighs about 5.5 pounds. It feels really solid. Inside there's a toroidal transformer, chunky heatsink, an upgraded power supply, better filtration. This is the, let's say, the Mark II version. I don't think Vista calls it that officially, but this is the updated version. It's the original came out a couple of years ago. I reviewed it for CNET at that time. Really loved it, but I don't have that one to compare against this one, so I can't say it sounds different or better. But what I can say, it's a charming little amplifier. I enjoyed this little guy immensely. So there is a warranty, 2-year warranty, and they have a service center in the United States. They are importer, Verity Audio, and also in Serbia. They do service their products out of warranty. So for the review, I used 2 speakers. Klipsch Cornwall IV, large horn-loaded speaker, very high sensitivity, just a little bit, just to get acquainted with the amp. And then I settled in for the long term with Q Acoustics 3030i bookshelf speakers. Okay, so the rest of the system was, I used an Oppo BDP 205 Blu-ray player, the analog outputs of that directly into the Spark. It sounded good, but I wanted a little more res, I wanted a little more detail. So then I took the digital output of the 205 and I went into a Denafreps Aries, the original Aries, not an Aries 2. That's what I used for the bulk of the review. And the difference between not having the Denafreps in and out was very apparent. So the resolution capabilities of the Spark itself, to hear the difference between not having an external DAC and using the external DAC, was readily apparent. The basic character of the amplifier is charming. It's sweet. It's tonally rich. It has a very comfortable character. It's not screaming resolution at you. It's not screaming detail. It doesn't have pounding bass or tinkly highs. It's not that kind of design. It just makes pretty much all the music that's fed to it sound really nice. I liked it. You know, it's just like, yeah, it sounds good. Neil Young's unreleased album, Homegrown, I think he did it in 1974, or parts of it in 74, parts of it in 75. It sat on the shelf for a really long time. Parts of the album came out in other forms. But now, finally, in 2020, it came out. And that acoustic side of Neil was so gorgeous. It's such a really, really beautiful recording. You know, there's this track on the album, I think it's called Florida, where it's spoken word, and there's like these weird, eerie acoustic sound effects. I think he's rubbing his fingers on the edge of a glass. And it's sort of like cinema verite on a recording. And it's like you are there experience. Again, I was disarmed by the experience. I was totally in. Speaking of the 1970s, I was playing the Jaws soundtrack, the movie soundtrack, on Qobuz, and John Williams' score. I think a lot of time he's just kind of on a remote or something. He's not that inspired, but for Jaws, he clearly was, and that is a great recording. Those cellos and basses just digging in the dum 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 sound. Wow, that is really impressive. And the recording itself is excellent. The music itself is spine-tingling, and that led to the Psycho. And Psycho, you know, it's weird, the shrieking strings in Bernard Herrmann's score for Psycho, the movie Psycho, or like a fast version of the stuff of the low basses and cello in Jaws. I think Mr. Williams was listening to Mr. Herrmann when he got the inspiration for Jaws. Anyway, I love soundtracks because good ones tend to be really well recorded. Lots of, not studio sound so much, but like a hall sound to them. And I was getting that from this system. Now, I would say stereo imaging was good, not especially deep in its sound stage or anything, but nicely focused. But again, I kept coming back to that warmth, that kind of enveloping mid-range sound that just disarmed me. It was like, I didn't want to critique it, I just wanted to enjoy it. So then there's this TV series, The Eddy. It's on Netflix. And it's set in a jazz club in Paris in the present day. And there's a lot of music that takes place in that club. And it feels live, like they really are playing. Like in a lot of movies and stuff, they're not really playing. It's done in a studio and they're just faking it. But in The Eddy, it feels real. You know, it might not be real, but it crosses over into definitely the believability range, so I'm going with the flow there. Anyway, the recording is really good, and it has that room sound. You feel like you're actually in this club. And again, the 3030i and the Spark were making the magic happen. Now, I will say, I did, push the 3030s aside for a little bit, listened to the Cornwall IVs, and that warmth factor of the Spark came through much more so on those large speakers. They have 15-inch woofers, big horn. So yeah, that they could cross over the line if you have a bassy speaker. This amplifier might be a little much in its fullness and its roundness, or you could just luxuriate in it. This is a personal taste thing. But, considering its size and price, $389, 295 pounds, it's likely to be paired with small bass light speakers, so that extra warmth may actually turn into a very synergistic match. So I'm not going to say it's the most transparent sounding of amplifiers. It's not. The bass is good. It's the kind of bass that doesn't call attention to itself. It's not particularly, thumping, remind you it's there kind of bass. It's just there in a natural proportion. So just before I finished up, I decided to play some records. I played a bunch of records. The difference between analog sound and digital sound in my system was readily apparent through this little amplifier. And one of the records I grabbed was this one. Willie the Lion Smith, Here I Come, California, Here I Come. So I got this record in 1974, and I know it was 1974 because I had just started my working in movie theaters as a projectionist. And I had finished the opening shift, so I was getting out at 5 or 6 o'clock, and I was walking down 13th Street, this is in Greenwich Village, and I noticed this record store called Clouds. I never saw it before. Anyway, so I go down there, and they're playing this record, and I really liked it. And I'm talking to the owner of the store. It's this fat guy with a big red beard, and we were talking about the Kinks, and he was talking about how Kinks fans are like in a separate class of weirdness than all other rock fans. Remember, this is the early 70s. Anyway, he's playing that. He's talking about the Kinks, but he's playing this record. And I said, I love this record. What is it? And he says, oh, it's Willie the Lion. I had never heard of him. So I bought the record. And I've had it ever since. And every now and then I pull it out, and it brings back these memories of being in that record store and just loving that record. And I love it more and more. And today, when I played it, the dynamics of the piano playing, it's two people playing piano, these two guys, and their back and forth conversation is just so much fun, so alive. And the dynamics, which I had underestimated the Spark's capability, they were coming through loud and clear. So yes, this little amplifier can kick if you feed it with the best stuff. And with that, I can say, yeah, I think my work here is at last complete. My name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show. This shirt that I'm wearing today, by the way, comes from the Ashanti Fields collection. And all of the African themed shirts that I buy come from Ashanti Fields. I will link to their website directly below. This is not an ad. I buy these shirts. I love them. Obviously, you've seen many of them on this show. People ask sometimes where the shirts come from. Now you know where at least the African ones come from. For me, you could check out my Patreon at patreon.com/audiophiliac. And while you're here, you could check out playlists for more electronics reviews, speaker reviews, headphone reviews, and definitely music reviews. I think we're good. So, thank you so much for being here today. If you subscribe, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you like these videos, give them a thumbs up. The algorithm says that that's important for some reason. So please subscribe, thumbs up, blah, blah, blah. And with that, I can say thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.